Okay, finally we are on the G2, Kukirin G2. That is on pre-sale when I'm recording this video, but it might be officially on sale right now. Now, I did review the Kukirin G4. This is not a comparison video, but will talk about a few similarities. So any questions, of course, feel free to post them in the comment section below. Something tells me as well that this model is actually going to sell out really fast because well, I'll talk about the value, but basically it's extremely cheap. I did love the Kukirin G4, so I hope this one, the G2, which is basically the baby brother of the G4, frame is more or less identical. But first things first, as always, we need to do a speed test on this electric scooter. So let me just get a straight road here. By the way, this has 3 gears. Right now I'm on sport, so eco is the slowest, sport is the middle, and race is basically the fastest mode. Okay, now we are on race mode. Let me just see if we can get up to the 45 km/h top speed. Torque is okay, not too bad. Plus this has a really good feature that I didn't even notice until I took it out of the box. So we have a good bit of headwind right now. Top speed is 38, 39, 41, 42, 42, 43 km/h top speed with headwind. And I always get asked, what weight am I? I am actually 83, 84 kilograms. With all my gear, I'm actually around 86, 87 kilograms. And my height, I've been getting asked about my height a lot lately. I am actually 5'8" in height. The stem on this is not adjustable, so if you are about 6 foot or taller, I think you would struggle to stay comfortable on this. The handlebars are just about at the right height for me. But the Kukirin G4 was much bigger than this, so I'm going to link that review at the end of this video. But definitely stay put, because this might be the scooter that you need. You may not need a bigger scooter like the Kukirin G4, so let's see what this scooter can do. Okay, so let's talk about the brakes. Standard mechanical disc braking. Let me just test them out. Yeah, the brakes are okay. What do you expect from mechanical disc braking? The one on the right is a little bit tight, so I'll have to adjust that. But apart from that, brakes do a good job. It has a boxy frame. The deck, if you can see that, is a little bit small. I am size 10, size 9, and it's a little bit small for me, but I do have my right foot on the back footrest. Let's talk about stability. Stability is actually quite decent. The front of this steering has a kind of a center locking point, you can feel it. So it provides, of course, much more stability. But because, of course, you're only going, let's do it again, if you're only going 45 km/h, you won't have an issue with stability. I mean, just take a look here. Okay, we're going max speed. Oh, we're actually going a little bit faster. 48, 49, 50 km/h. 51, 52. Okay, so we're actually getting faster. Yeah, 52 km/h. And it is rock solid. Ain't no wobble. Absolutely fantastic. The handlebars as well are actually a perfect width. Really like the handlebars. I like the design of them. They're not a straight handlebar, so you have a bit more comfort there. A good thing as well, it does have my favorite thumb throttle, but if you don't want to use that, you can use it kind of like as a twist throttle if you want, just like this instead. So you kind of have that option there. So stability, very good. Brakes are decent. Speed is absolutely fantastic. Suspension, okay, suspension is really nice. Okay, so the path here is a little bit bumpy, so we'll give it a small suspension test and then we'll go with a bit of off-roading. So let's go on the rough area here. Yeah, suspension is nice, quiet, no clacking coming from it at all. Bump, here we go, up again. Okay, maybe, okay, on rough areas there is a bit of clacking, but yeah, it's not too bad actually. Kind of do a bit of, not off-roading, but handling on gravel is actually doing quite a good job. Smooth surface, gravel surface, suspension is more than adequate enough. You wouldn't really bottom out on this suspension unless you're an extremely heavy rider. So yeah, no complaints there, but there is a grass patch up here. It is quite smooth as well. There's not a lot of noise coming from the scooter, which I love. I hate electric scooters that are very, very noisy. Small bit of grass here. I'm not sure how the rear motor will perform. We'll do a hill test now as well in a second or two. Let me just go on the grass here. I'll talk about the specs in a second, but this is a good suspension test because it's very bad here. Suspension quiet, doing an okay job. It's actually pulling me along really, really well. Bit of an incline here. I think the scooter would be good for not a full off-road trail, but something that's, you know, moderately okay. So yeah, perfect actually. Let me just up here we go. Go again. Tyres doing a fantastic job. Hybrid, yes. Yes please, hybrid, yes please. Of course you can't jump off paths and stuff like that, but to be honest, I wouldn't recommend it too much on a scooter that's like this. I mean, don't go crazy, don't go stupid. Okay, let's do a speed test, see how long it takes to go up to 45. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, 11 seconds to actually get to 45 kilometers per hour. Actually, another thing as well is it actually has walk mode automatically. So if you get off the scooter, let's say you're going into your house or you're going across, you know, if you're going to your apartment, traffic lights, it automatically detects walk mode. So it kind of gives you a bit of assistance there, because it's shown on the display here. So yeah, it seems actually quite decent. You do have indicators on this, you do have a horn. And suspension, everybody asks about suspension, what is it like? I mean, it's decent, it's not too bad. It's definitely really much better compared to like other scooters I've had, like the Kukirin old design M4 Pro. So yeah, you can see it there, nice and quiet. Let me just give you a close-up now. A large coil, so it actually does really good. Same with the rear as well. Folding it is pretty easy. You take out your safety pin like so, push forward your clip and it goes down. But a big problem with this, it doesn't actually have an area where you can pop it onto your rear mud guard. So, and I don't know what the purpose of this strap is. It doesn't serve a purpose. Am I missing something? Are you actually meant to put that here? I don't know. Actually, it's a really strange. No, there's no way that goes anywhere there. It's quite a big strap, so no, ain't no way that goes anywhere. That doesn't serve a purpose unless I'm blind and I can't actually see something. But popping it back up, pretty easy. You just do that and that's it. So getting on and off public transport is actually really, really good. So enough ride on this G2. Let's get into the pros and cons of it right now. Now, briefly, there is a Kukirin G4. That is the bigger scooter of this G2. So don't worry, that will be linked at the end of this video. Plus it's linked in the description. But this G2 is, I have a feeling it's actually going to sell out quite fast due to the overall popularity of it. There's many questions about it. People want reviews about it. And I am one of the first people to review it. Now let's talk about a few things. It is a 48 volt 15 amp hour battery in this scooter with a top speed of 45 kilometers per hour. But as you could see, I actually got like just over 50 kilometers per hour doing the speed tests on this scooter, and I wasn't going downhill and there was no wind coming from the back of me, so I'm not sure why that is, to be honest. But even at that, the 45 kilometer per hour top speed is more than acceptable for a scooter like this. And also the weight of the G2 is actually 26 kilograms, so you know, it's actually very, very light. It also has a range of up to 55 kilometers. As I always say, that depends on your weight, wind, temperature, charge of the battery, everything to take that in consideration. So it's a very hard question to answer, but for me, if I was going to higher top speed, I would estimate I would get around 30 kilometers, give or take, going the higher end top speed on this electric scooter, because I did have a scooter in the past that had the exact same battery, and that was on a really cold day. It was like 4 degrees from what I remember, and I drained it completely, and that was a 48 volt 16 amp hour battery, and this is basically more or less the same. So yeah, I think best case scenario would be 30-35 kilometer hour max distance going that higher top speed. But what more could you want? That's actually a really good range for something like this. But there is something about the G2 that stands out from so many electric scooters that I've had in the past, and I'll get to that in a second. Now if you just take a look, the rear motor on this G2 is 800 watts, and I think the speed of it and the torque of it is more than acceptable. You can also put it on to zero start if you want. You just hold down the set button on the touchscreen menu. So let me just give you a closer look at the G2. So you have these, they're hard to the touch grips, but they do the job. This scooter has, of course, left and right indicators. Left, right. It has a really nice LED light there as well, which is actually quite nice. And of course there is that rear shock suspension as well in the back. That is decent. Mudguard as well while I'm here. It covers the wheel fairly well. Can't imagine it, you know, a lot of water getting on the back of you. But of course, because we'll be coming into the winter in a few months, you just need to be cautious about that. You have that touchscreen. Of course, in the rain, maybe it'll give you an issue. You'd have to probably just give it a quick wipe. But in reality, are you going to be touching this screen constantly? No. You're just going to set it and forget it. You have, of course, that home throttle there. This is where your on-off button is. And like I mentioned, if you don't want to use the thumb throttle, you can just use this part to twist. Or do that. It's really by preference, wherever you want to do. But very happy with the overall look of this. This stem, I can't imagine it giving any issues. It seems pretty solid to me. I'm very happy with it. You have this locking pin here as well. Front reflector. The front part now doesn't come with a mudguard. Little bit disappointing because the wheel is actually slightly wider than the frame here. So you might get a bit of splashing coming in your front part of your leg. But could you do something aftermarket? Yeah, you possibly could. And as well, underneath the scooter, there's actually a adjustment point if you want to stiffen up your steering. So it does have a center locking point. You can kind of feel it slotting into it there, which is really nice. So it is quite stable. Brakes, yeah, safety is quite good. Brakes are not too bad. You can adjust them, change the pads very easily. One thing that I don't like, however, before I get on to what I really like, is actually the deck. The deck might look big on video, but in reality, it's actually quite small. So you will have to use the back footrest here. I kind of normally do that then anyway, going higher speeds, so I always kind of do that just to rest my foot. So you can shift your feet around if you want. I'm a size 9, so you know, that's just to give you a good reference. But you know, it is what it is at the end of the day. If you have a bigger deck, it means more weight. But overall, quite happy with this boxy design. Some people don't like it, I love it. Front light as well, quite cool. Quite a nice feature. It gives off a good beam. There is a sharp cut-off point here, however, so when it is shining, it will give you a bit of a cut-off point, but you could just add additional lights here because you have so much space here. Phone holder, extra lights, whatever you want to do. The sky is the limit if you want to try and customize your scooter. But before I give my verdict on the G2, who's it for and the value, hang on for 1 second. I've had big scooters that have had 11-inch tubeless wheels and 12-inch tubeless wheels. I have never, to the best of my knowledge, I've reviewed many scooters at this point, but I have never seen a scooter that has 10-inch hybrid tubeless tires. Absolutely brilliant. So it means if you get a puncture, you can use the tubeless repair kits to get you home. With a tube, you have to completely take the wheel off and replace the tube, which is an added expense. And generally with tubeless kits, you can use them for a few times, depending on how big the puncture is, to get you home. And that is brilliant. I want to see that on more electric scooters. 10-inch tubeless wheels instead of the typical 11-inch. We want 10-inch tubeless. So that, for me, it's probably one of the best selling points about this, because I've had scooters like the Kukirin M4 Pro years ago that was plagued with punctures and a nightmare to absolutely change those tires or those tubes. So very happy with that feature of the G2. So overall, okay, we have decent range, tubeless wheels, good stem, good lighting, nice big wide handlebars, thumb throttle, very easy to use touchscreen. Deck is small, but you know, you should be relatively happy with that. And yeah, overall, no really complaints about the G2 except the deck space. But apart from that, I'm very happy with it. So who is it for? It's for somebody who looks to go generally longer distances, maybe 20-30 kilometers per day, who like a bit more speed, who like to get there at like 40-45 kilometer hour speeds, who are accustomed to that. Is it for beginners? Maybe not, because I think of the speed and it is a bit higher off the ground than the typical scooter within this range, so maybe they would struggle a bit with stability. So you know, I think it's more for somebody who is accustomed to electric scooters and who doesn't mind handling something that is a little bit bigger. This is basically bigger than the average size commuter scooter like the M4 Pros and the Xiaomi M365, those types of scooters, because it is high off the ground. But that is a good thing, because you have that clearance going off paths and that really nice cushion suspension there once you don't go too crazy. Of course, if you're looking for a hill climber, I don't think this is the scooter. I think you need something more like the bigger brother of this, which is the G4, that can climb hills, because it does have a 2000 watt rear motor, which is no problem. Or you could go for the Kukirin G2 Master, that is a dual motor electric scooter, again for more off-roading style, a bigger hill climb type of electric scooter. But that's where the value comes in. To be honest, price of this is absolutely perfect. I don't think it's worth any less than that. I don't think it's worth any more than that. I think it's absolutely in the middle, and I can imagine that the G2 is going to sell out extremely fast. And as well, you know, I think due to the overall popularity of Kukirin and the way their company is going, I'm very happy with them, and I'm excited to see what they actually bring out in the future. But as always, the official link for Kukirin is right below. Everybody asks me, you know, is it the official link? Yes, it is. That's where I get majority of the Kukirin scooters from, and I think it's worth every single penny it's asking for. So I have put a lot of effort into this video, in this heat, in this helmet. So if you have enjoyed it, if you have any questions as well, post them below. In the meantime, give it a like, subscribe, and you can watch my Kukirin playlist now if you want, and I'll talk to you in the next video.